Hello everyone and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. Boy, I bet the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family sure is sweating today. Knowing that his confidant, his good friend, his gal pal, Ghislaine Maxwell, is sitting in the clink and being completely and utterly drained for information by investigators. Now there's a report coming out that the ministers within the UK hope that Prince Andrew will speak with the FBI over his associations with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. With Maxwell getting arrested like this, it's going to put immense pressure on Andrew, especially considering how they were corresponding in 2015 with Andrew sending an email in regards to Virginia Roberts to Ghislaine Maxwell, when Andrew has said to us and everybody who is listening, he doesn't even know who Virginia Roberts is. So if that's the case, sir, why are you sending your pedophile, disgusting abuser friend Maxwell an email in regards to Virginia if you don't even have any idea who she is? Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, your time is almost up. You can only hide behind mummy's skirts for so long before the people of England have had enough and they decide that you, my friend, are not worth the trouble that you're costing. Our article today is from the Daily Mail, and the headline is, Ministers hope Prince Andrew will speak to the FBI over his links to Ghislaine Maxwell and wealthy pedophile Jeffrey Epstein without them having to intervene. Basically what they're saying right here with this sort of statement, it's again a shot across the bow. They're telling Andrew, look, if you don't come forward and you don't cooperate with the FBI, then we're going to have to step in and we're going to mandate that you come forward and you tell everybody what you know. And imagine the black eye that would be for the royal family. Imagine the black eye that would be for the Queen. To have the ministers and people in the House of Commons and Lords force Andrew into speaking to the FBI, especially when he's come out on record saying, oh, I'll talk to whatever appropriate authorities I need to talk to. We knew all of that was a lie. We knew that there was zero chance that Prince Andrew was ever going to talk to the authorities. And we also knew that the second he got a legal team, a high-profile legal team like the one he surrounded himself with, that they were never, ever going to allow him to speak to the authorities. If he couldn't even speak to Emily Maitlis and finesse her, how does anyone think he's going to speak to seasoned prosecutors, seasoned interrogators, and not get tripped up? Especially considering that Ghislaine Maxwell is singing like a canary as we speak. Ministers are hoping Prince Andrew, aka the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, will speak to the FBI over his links to Ghislaine Maxwell and pedophile half-billionaire, not billionaire, Jeffrey Epstein, without them having to intervene. Maxwell appeared in court in the U.S. on Thursday accused of helping disgraced financier, pedophile, Epstein identify, befriend, and groom multiple girls, including one as young as 14. And this is the lady that Prince Andrew thought it would be a good idea to give unfettered access to Buckingham Palace, to invite her to his daughter's birthday, as well as the Queen's Jubilee celebration. And then this man thinks that he's going to get by without answering any questions about this lady or her behavior. Folks, Ghislaine Maxwell is accused of heinous crimes, and the Prince of England gave her unfettered access to not only Buckingham Palace, but also access to sit in the Queen's throne. Talk about an absolute disgrace. Talk about an absolute black eye for the Windsor family and the royal family as a whole. U.S. prosecutors have lodged a formal request to interview Andrew, a friend of Epstein's, made through the filing of a mutual legal assistance MLA, to the Home Office as reported by the Sunday Telegraph. An MLA is part of an agreement with the United States that means they can ask for assistance from British authorities in criminal matters. And remember, they completely bypassed the royal family on this and went directly to the Home Office. They filed this MLA with the Home Office, and they decided to let the chips fall wherever they may. And as much as I criticize the Department of Justice and the prosecutors in this case, I think this was a shrewd move and a solid move because it sort of forces the hand, right? It forces Andrew to respond, it forces his legal team to respond, and it forces him to be put under more pressure. And when you're put under more pressure, chances are you're more apt to make a mistake. The request causes something of a predicament for Home Secretary Priti Patel, with the government keen that U.S. authorities and Andrew sort the issue out between themselves. Yeah, they know that this is a time bomb. They do not want to step into this minefield and get their legs blown apart. So, in the best interest of everybody, they're hoping that Andrew will do the right thing, the honorable thing, and step up and speak with authorities. But if not, it really looks like some of these ministers are looking to force the issue. The Duke cannot be forced to talk to the FBI, but the submission of the MLA means it could turn into a diplomatic headache for the government. And that's for sure. They can't force him, as in compel him, say you must do this. But they can exert extreme pressure on him and in turn on the royal family. Will they do that? I don't know. I don't know enough about the inner workings of English politics to dip my toes into that water, but that's certainly a route that they can take if they're looking to exert pressure on this man. Andrew Campbell Tyke, QC, head of Drystone Chambers, told the newspaper, "I'm sure the Home Office would rather the two parties deal with it themselves without any ministerial involvement. The last thing they want is to find themselves caught between the royal family on one side and the U.S. authorities on the other. They do not want to navigate through that." And that's for sure. The last thing they want, that's a diplomatic nightmare. Imagine dealing with the Queen at home and the United States on the other side with such a hot political football such as Andrew right now. Forget it. Look, Andrew is causing much grief to the country of England at this point, to the nation of England. And he needs to step forward and do the right thing. Be an honorable man like he says he is. Andrew has previously claimed he has offered 2 times to be a witness in the case. A source close to the Duke said, "We've been in contact with the U.S. Department of Justice saying we're willing to offer assistance. The Duke has indicated his intention to cooperate with the investigation, and the ball is now in their court. There is still dialogue going on, and we are sure the Home Office would not want to intervene." Well, I disagree with that. I'm sure they want to intervene, but they know that they can't right now because of the political implications. Look, anybody who's following this, even from an outside point of view, has to understand that at the very least, Andrew needs to come forward and speak to the authorities. There's no other choice for him now. There's no out. His pal Epstein, arrested, dead. Ghislaine Maxwell, arrested. And this is a man who spent plenty of time with them. This is a man who would stay at Jeffrey Epstein's houses. This is a man who would pal around with Epstein. He needs to answer some questions, and his stupid-ass princely title should not offer him any sort of shield. A spokesman for the prosecutors at the Southern District of New York declined to comment to the Sunday Telegraph on the question of a mutual legal assistance. The Home Office told the newspaper it would not confirm or deny the existence of an MLA request. And that's pretty typical when it comes to these sorts of things. They like to play that stuff close to the vest. They aren't going to confirm, deny, speak about any sort of investigation that is ongoing or that is in the middle of happening or any of that kind of stuff, right? You can expect them to be very, very quiet. It comes as one of Ghislaine Maxwell's friends said she would never disclose information about the Duke of York in the case surrounding pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, her friend has claimed. Former investment banker Laura Goldman said the British socialite, co-conspirator, child abuser, all-around disgustoid, regarded Andrew as a friend and was never going to say anything about him to investigators. Yeah, right. Look, let's be honest. Laura has not really been a reliable source of information throughout this whole thing. Pretty much everything she has said in the interviews in The Sun, none of it has come to fruition. Oh yeah, they're not going to arrest Ghislaine Maxwell. They don't have enough. Okay. What did she think she was going to do with those interviews? Look, I don't have anything personally against Laura Goldman, right? But I don't find her to be a reliable narrator in this instance. Ghislaine Maxwell was simply using Laura Goldman to get whatever silly message she wanted to get out into the public view. It comes as Maxwell appeared in court in the U.S. on Thursday accused of helping disgraced financier, pedophile, Epstein identify, befriend, and groom multiple girls, including one as young as 14. And again, I don't know how anyone can defend Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't care if she's your friend. I don't care if you were friends since you were in first grade. Wrong is wrong, and being accused by multiple people like this, and with so much circumstantial evidence out there, you make yourself look like a straight-up fool trying to defend this person. How about you just sit this one out, okay? No need to open your mouth and let us all know you're being foolish. You might as well just sit it out. The Duke, who is a former friend of Epstein, has since been urged to provide information to the investigation by a U.S. attorney. Ms. Goldman, who claims to have known Maxwell since she moved to the U.S., told BBC Radio 4's Today program on Saturday she would have to go for a plea deal with prosecutors. Oh, why? Now she has to plea, huh? I thought she was innocent. I thought she had nothing to worry about. I thought all of these charges were overblown. Literally none of that is the case, and anyone paying attention who is not trying to intentionally muddy the waters understands. Asked if Maxwell would speak about the Duke as part of the investigation, Miss Goldman said, she has always told me she would never, ever say anything about him. So that means she's already ratting on him right now. You're going to believe what Ghislaine Maxwell told you? Okay, Laura. Sounds like a good plan. I think she felt he was her friend and she was never going to say anything about him. She felt in the 90s when her father died that Prince Andrew was there for her. Miss Goldman said she last spoke to Maxwell a couple of weeks ago prior to her arrest in New Hampshire on Thursday, adding she knew she was coming to the end of the road. Oh, now your tune changes, huh? She knew she was coming to the end of the road. I thought they didn't have enough to arrest her, that they weren't going to pick her up, that she's innocent. I think the only two people on the planet who believe that were you and Dirty Dersh. She claimed Maxwell was a victim of Epstein and was always a little afraid of him. Such garbage. I've already addressed this in the other article that I read recently, and it's straight up garbage to lay cover fire for Ghislaine Maxwell at this point. I don't even understand how anybody could do that. It is just beyond the pale. Miss Goldman said, I think she thought if she did one more grooming, found him one more girl, he would marry her. Is that okay? No. She honestly thought at the end of the day she would be Miss Jeffrey Epstein, and that was the prize she wanted. I don't believe any of that. And the confirmation from the survivors themselves paints it in a whole different light. Ghislaine Maxwell had a leadership role. She was as devious and as responsible for this trafficking ring as Jeffrey Epstein. That is where the evidence points. Not that she's a victim, not so you could start building her defense in the public view, you and Dershowitz both. That's not going to fly. Just like we weren't letting you pad her image while she was on the run, it will be called out now as well. You do not have control of this narrative anymore. Ghislaine Maxwell does not have control of this narrative anymore. And Jeffrey Epstein certainly does not have control of the narrative anymore. The narrative has been taken back by the survivors. Maxwell, daughter of a late media mogul Robert Maxwell, has previously denied any wrongdoing or knowledge of sexual misconduct by her co-conspirator, friend, Jeffrey Epstein. At a brief hearing on Thursday, a magistrate judge ordered her to remain in custody while she is transferred to New York for a detention hearing. And that hearing is tomorrow. 4 of the 6 charges cover Maxwell's dealings with Epstein from 1994 to 1997 when she was in an intimate relationship with him, according to the indictment. These include conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in illegal sex acts and enticement of a minor to travel to engage in illegal sex acts. She is further charged with conspiracy to transport minors with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity and transportation of a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity. That's interesting as well. A conspiracy to transport would mean 2 or more people involved, and that makes it a criminal organization. And that, my friends, is a RICO predicate. Epstein killed himself, allegedly, last August before facing trial on sex trafficking and conspiracy charges. Audrey Strauss, acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, told a press conference that authorities would welcome a statement from the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family. But a source close to the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family said he was bewildered by claims made by U.S. authorities that he was not offered to cooperate with the Epstein case. One of Epstein's survivors, Virginia Roberts, who claims she was trafficked by the pedophile Epstein, alleges the Duke had sex with her on 3 separate occasions, including when she was 17, still a minor under U.S. law. Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, a.k.a. the Prince of Toads, a.k.a. the Prince of Punkasses, categorically denies he had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Miss Roberts. And meanwhile, the evidence tells a completely different story. I think what we can take away from this article is that if Prince Andrew does not speak to the authorities, that he is going to face serious criticism and serious pressure from more than just a couple of ministers within the government of the United Kingdom. And if I was the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, I would be terrified. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. Inside of the description box, you will find all links that pertain to the podcast. All right, everybody, I'll be back later on with some more. I hope you all have an amazing day.